What up, y'all? It's totally Tuesday, and it's time for our weekly manifestation oracle reading. We're using Magical Mermaids and Dolphins. This is a out-of-print deck. And also, I wanted to touch base with the Goddess Guidance Oracle cards, which I haven't used in a while, but the Goddess Guidance cards are like so clutch. I love them, and I haven't used them in a while, and they've been calling me all day. So I was like, they're going to join us for the manifestation reading tonight. I hope y'all have had a good day and a good week so far. I know I have. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to watch our weekly Oracle energy forecast, but it was all about really like cleansing toxic residue, really like clearing out the end of old patterns, really starting to feel the embodiment of the healing, which there may be some itching this week. And what I mean is, usually when you have healed a pattern or you've come to the end of it, it's just like school, you get a final exam or a quiz. So there may be tests this week, but I feel that if you can center yourself and ground yourself and not let your emotions get control of you, and really just remember that you're a new person now. We are up leveled. We have like let go of all that old baggage. So we need to just take a breath and slow down. And then we're learning how to be our new selves as we move forward. So it's about like really just taking this week to slow down, let that energy, the rest of it, just let it go with the waning moon. The light of the moon is getting lesser and lesser. So we're letting go through this cycle. So really keep taking advantage of that. Wrap things up, tie up loose ends, finish little projects that have been, lingering. I've been doing that myself the last couple of days. I've had a few days off in a row, and I still have another day off tomorrow. I'm so excited. But yeah, I've just been sort of like tying up loose ends and doing some things that I've been meaning to do, and really doing a lot of nurturing and self-care and things that are nurturing to my soul, and just enjoying and taking care of business and just getting the simple pleasures from life. I just love, like, this whole year I felt like a little monk or like a little nun, just a solitary hedge witch over here, just really simple, just living with simplicity at the what is it, the hymn, what is, you know what I'm talking about, it's like a ship term, I think, at the helm simplicity at the helm, and just really getting a lot of fulfillment from the inner world, the inner transformation, and watching it unfold on the outside. And it's even more like I can appreciate it even more because I've worked so hard to build that and to see it being, to flourish on the outside. Which in our recent study of the Gospel of Philip, we've been looking at the inner and the outer, and I've had even more like things about that theme come up this week, so I'll probably do a part 3. But yeah, it's so interesting how when you put the effort into something, you value it so much more as it's starting to bear fruit. It's so much more fulfilling than just like passively receiving something that you didn't have to like put any effort or participation in. And so when you take ownership, it's like taking on responsibility also gives you ownership, which is great. Stepping into that ownership, it's like I don't know, it's part of the up level that's happening. But now I think that we are tuning in right now for the next week. What can we do to best direct our energies and our efforts to align ourselves, mind, body, heart, and spirit with our heart's desire, with the direction that our soul is calling us in, and the things that we're trying to manifest. Get out of here! Are you kidding me? Soulmate relationship, new romance with a spiritual basis is here for you now. I mean, we're not even talking about that, folks. Like, we have Thirsty Thursday coming up later in the week, but we're just trying to manifest, just minding our own business. But soulmate relationship. Now, this can have something to do, I mean, maybe you've been ready to manifest a romantic partner. Remember not to manifest a specific person, but the essence and the quality of what you want in the relationship, because you don't want to put a person on a pedestal. You don't want to put them in a position where they're like, you know, special. I mean, not to sound cold, but like we're all special, but none of us are special, right? We don't want to elevate the person or idolize them in any way, because we want our soul to have the freedom to be able to set boundaries, to have healthy interactions and healthy relationships. So we want to respect people's freedom, you know, and their own free will. That's sacred. So you never want to try to manipulate or influence energy or life to like bend to your will when it has other people involved, right? We want to generally try to transform ourselves to raise our vibration so that we're broadcasting the right channel, the right radio station, and then we can tune in to what we really want to attract. So maybe, you know, things are kind of getting ironed out in your life right now, and, you know, money and goals and love, those are all connected under the influence of Venus. So it only makes sense that as you resolve the issues that have to do with unblocking the flow of your greater goals, your greater life purpose, and your manifestation, you sort of also start to untangle the knots that have become blocks in your finances and in your love and in your relationships and in your romantic life. So maybe there's a soulmate relationship coming in. Maybe there is a soulmate friend who's coming into the picture, or that's going to become involved with your goal. Also, there could be some kind of collaborative effort that you do with a friend soulmate that has to do with like taking steps towards your manifestation, right? So be on the lookout. Okay, how else can we best direct our energies, our focus, and our intentions for the week? What is this? Contemplation time. Spend time alone meditating upon what you truly desire. Perfect for the week because, like we already said, we're resetting. We're letting go with the waning moon. We're releasing blocks. We're releasing old baggage, old patterns, and we're pausing and we're visualizing and we're learning who we're becoming. Who do we have to be the person in that picture that we imagine of ourselves in the next few weeks, in the next few months, in the next year, right? In the next 5 years. What is that vision that you're holding? And then reverse engineer, like, who do you have to become to be that person? Ask the creator, ask the light, ask your higher self. What do I need to change? What is the assignment here? What do I need to do, to give, to share, to create the vessel that can contain the light of my vision so that I can hold it and actually maintain it and sustain it and not short circuit and lose it, right? Because we can only have and keep what resonates truly with what we are, right? If we are not what we are receiving, then it won't stay. It won't stick. So we're going to contemplate, see where we're going now, and figure out what's the assignment at this moment. Who are we being asked to become? Get really clear on the essence of your desire, and maybe start exploring what has blocked you in getting that thus far, and how it might tie into your older patterns, and what you can do to change the trajectory by changing the way that you show up when these things come up, right? All right. Father healing. Personal power increases as you give any father-related issues to heaven. It's funny, this looks like the dad from The Little Mermaid, which was a very toxic masculinely themed Disney movie where Ariel was valued and loved for being pretty and quiet and nice and having legs. and wearing a very revealing, busty bathing suit top most of the time. But as I recall, her father was a little bit stern, a little bit strict, and a little bit brash, right? He was a little bit harsh. She was a very sensitive gal, that Ariel. So go back. It makes sense that your father issues have to do with your sense of stability, security, and depending on your dynamic with your father, it could have had an effect on your self-worth. I know your mother wound does, but I can't help but think of my own relationship with my father, and I'd be lying if I said I don't think it had a direct effect on my self-worth. So yay, funnest, favorite thing, focus on father healing. And maybe it's like you're moving past those old stories about your father, and maybe you're tired of picking the scab and the wound, and you're ready for it to just be done with and move on and let it go and let bygones be bygones and just move forward. At one point I had to forgive my father the debt of being my father, because he was never going to be like the fun dad that took us camping and wanted to go to dinner and spill the tea and talk about your life. He just wasn't that kind of person. And it was very painful in my life because I always wished that he would be that way, and I was always freshly disappointed when I found out every turn that he was not. And I finally just had to be like, okay, my dad is just like this man, and if he wasn't my dad, if I just knew him out in life, I'd be like, oh, here's this man. He clearly has a lot of issues. He's clearly doing what he thought he was supposed to do, and he believed what they said in the 50s. But if it'd been up to him, he may not have been a dad. He's not a daddy. He's not a dad. He's a father, he's there, but he's not personal, And I had to let him off the hook and just accept that he is who he is, right? And he's a businessman who's really, preoccupied with the end times. And that's kind of the only thing he will present to me. And I've tried to ask him, to these are my needs, and could we just have a good time? And it's he just will never be anything than what he is. And it's okay, I have to accept that, right? I have to accept him as he is and then move from there. So just having accepted him as a person with his own issues, letting him be himself, and realizing that we are connected through the bonds of family, and that it's okay. We would not have chosen one another in social circles, but we did choose one another as father and daughter. And one of the most helpful exercises in Kabbalah was actually, one of the classes was, teaching about the soul healing for everyone. It's called tikkun. It's the process of soul transformation that we go through in this life. It's every lifetime we have, our soul has these assignments, and it's given weaknesses and strengths that it needs to balance and bring into perfection for our own unique expression of our highest self, right? So our parents and all of our experiences, all of our tragedies, all of our wins, where we're born, if we're bullied, if we have friends, if we're popular, whatever, if we're winning, if we're broke, whatever it is, we chose that before we came. And so one of the most helpful tests was, or exercises in one of my Kabbalah classes was, ask yourself, in a journal, in a workshop, in a journal, and do this after this video, write out, why did I choose my father? Try to come up with 3 or 4 answers. And then after that, write down the question and free write it and answer it. Automatic writing, just start writing and don't think about it. Just let it keep flowing, and the subconscious will start to reveal itself. Don't overthink it. Don't edit yourself. Don't worry about spelling or grammar. Just start writing. Second question, why did I choose my father? Or wait, what was our first question? The first question is, why did I choose my father? The second question is, why did my father choose me? So try to come up with 3 or 4 answers, but let yourself just free flow. Don't force anything. If you don't have 3 or 4 reasons, whatever, just let whatever comes up. This is just ballparking, right? Just giving you kind of a general basis. Maybe you have volumes of books on why why you think that is. But if you were looking at it through the scope of, if this person was put in my life to push my buttons and to push me and to give me opportunities to become like a superhuman, does it put it into context of like why they were, the way they were? And it kind of starts to make more sense, and it gives you a lot more of a sense of empowerment, right? And it helps you let the person off the hook, right? So I had to forgive my dad the debt of being a father, of being a dad, and just accept him as like a man that I'm related to in my life. And my dad, my father, is the creator, my father in heaven. And my father in heaven is always checking in on me and making sure I'm okay, and sending like funny synchronicities my way and treats and fun experiences. And so I feel very watched over and fulfilled in that regard. And it's funny too, because me and my dad I was trying to like improve the relationship last summer, and I was trying to show up and be honest and set my boundaries and do all those things. And it's just not working on him at all, or nothing's happening. It's just like, all right, now do I feel better? Like nothing resulted, nothing changed on his end. So, oh shoot, I lost my point about, I was like going and like trying to make peace and like trying to hang out, and I can't remember. It was so important. Oh yes, okay. So I had this talk with him, and he wasn't really listening that much. I mean, it's just like he heard the words kind of, because it was like a dramatic unfolding, because I tried to do it like in a not dramatic way, and he was like just disconnected, and it was getting more and more like I was getting more triggered. So finally he's paying attention. And so then, he gives me the whole, you're so great, you're so strong, you're so wonderful speech. I don't know if you've ever had a man give you this, like in a drunken, like, embrace, or a friend who like said all that stuff to you like in a moment where you needed to hear it. It's like an archetypal moment, I feel like, where someone, like in romantic terms, sometimes it can be like someone confessing their undying love to you and telling you like how great you are, or it could be like your dad like finally like telling you like, oh, you're so wonderful, whatever. Or maybe like a mentor or something. You feel finally like you've been seen, right? And like it should be very validating. It's like but like in that moment when he was like, oh, you're so strong and blah, 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 and this and that, I was like outside of myself as he was saying it. And I'm like, wow, I guess like an unconscious part of me all my life has been waiting for this moment of satisfaction and validation for like my dad to tell me that I don't know, worthy, valuable, I guess at the core of it. But literally it was just like, I didn't care. I realized in that moment, I was like, I'm validated from the inside, and I don't need you to tell me this at all. In fact, it was having zero effect on me at all. I have no satisfaction in this whatsoever. And so it made me realize, okay, like a lot of the layers of this maybe are healed, but I don't know. It's still like going forth. It's like, what do you do when the other person isn't changing? You just accept them. You accept them and you forgive them of all the projections, all the expectations, all the hopes that you had for them, all the fantasies, all the illusions, and you just see them for who they are, and you practice unconditional love. No, we want everybody to be better and perfect. I'm tired of taking the high road. I don't want to go through things that don't kill me, that make me stronger. Just gotta love, be the love, keep on giving, be unconditional. Morning affirmations. All right, so as we approach each day, I think that it is important that we start using our words and the power of our mouth, because this has come up a bunch, using the affirmations, that we maybe find, like, write down 1 or 2 affirmations that goes with, like, if you have 1 or 2 or 3 like main manifestations right now or whatever, Get an affirmation statement that you can remember that is something that is fairly simple and that it's totally believable to you, but that is positive and that it speaks blessing into your manifestation and guides your subconscious forward. Use those every day because our mouths are very powerful. Our words are very powerful. Our mouths are one of the gateways of life and death. So our words are more powerful than we ever have realized. So it's really vital that we pay attention to what is going out of our mouths and what is coming into our mouths. We should be mindful about whether or not what we are saying has a builder consciousness or a destroyer consciousness. Do you have an agenda? Do you have a motive? Might be a destroyer consciousness, right? Are you in flow? Are you an open channel? Are you sharing? Is what you're doing building someone up and expanding the light? Or are you about to make, I don't know, a review on Yelp or something and try to make everybody, save everybody from having that bad experience, but really what you're doing is destroying a reputation of someone and possibly getting someone in trouble who was maybe just having a busy moment and you know what I mean? We don't think about the domino effect of our words, right? And so we want to be able to claim our words, own the responsibility around them so that we can use them for good. Okay, so start naming it and claiming it. Start talking out loud about your manifestation, even if it's just to yourself. Have a manifestation buddy that you make outlandish claims with and statements about, and that you joke around with about your manifestations coming into pass, and make sure and talk about them in positive ways. But make sure this manifestation buddy, someone you can trust, that won't poo-poo your woo-woo, that won't be the person that's talking you out of everything all the time. Also, you don't want this person to be a yes person. You want them to be a good mirror for you. Okay, now let's pull one card from Goddess Guidance to see what kind of goddess energy we should embody this week as we go forward. Oh, that was very, very... This card was very confident about wanting to talk, and it really ties in with our rest and recuperate, yesterday's extended message, our Oracle weekly energy forecast for the week from Sunday. So it ties into Sunday and Monday's message. Continuing on with this theme for the week of quiet time, of contemplation. Take some quiet time alone to rest, meditate, and contemplate. I don't know how to say this name. Siege? I guess if it was A, it would be sage. So siege. She's gonna have a seizure. What up, Siege? Terrible humor. Inappropriate. I'm gonna canceled. Quiet time. So yeah, be sure to enjoy a little bit of staring at the wall time, where your mind is just free to wander wherever it feels like it wants to go, right? And pay attention to what comes up this week. There may be themes that are surrounding your father wounds, so maybe the rest of that father healing is coming up. I know that one of the moon cycle card from the full moon reading that was going to be true for the waning cycle was that a personal issue has finally been resolved, right? So I feel we're not in the middle of digging all this up. We've gotten a lot of progress here. I think that this is kind of tying up loose ends and really setting in that new pattern, that new perspective around the father, around the parent healing, around the patterns that resulted as a result of the father wound. So think about the wounds that you had that were related to your dad. And yes, those gave you, that galvanized sense. But after that, how did you interpret that moment? And what did you tell yourself, Or how did you act going forward from that moment as a result of that? Like, well, because after, my dad did this or said this or whatever, I just thought that this was that way from now on. And I just never did that again. Or I, tried to avoid this, or I always tried to like walk on eggshells or be the blah, blah, blah to make sure and, keep dad happy, go back and pick that apart. What did you do because of the father wound? How did that affect your life? How has it been playing out in a pattern, right? Because those are the things that we're trying to like unravel and cleanse ourselves from, so we can actually go forward and have a life that's authentic to us and not just a life that's like layered garbage from misery and suffering. Okay, we don't want bitter layers of sourpuss, right? We want happy, we want optimistic, we want, clean, fresh slate for ourselves. So it starts, unfortunately, with giving it to others who maybe you don't feel they deserve it. But that's even better, because when we do something that's difficult, it reveals even more light. It makes a bigger difference in the upper worlds. It really does, because it was harder. It was a bigger sacrifice. So I wish it was easy, but it never is. And yet it always is. Life is ease and harmony. All right, you guys, I still have more pizza left over tonight. I got a couple of really good, interesting pizza flavors last night, and I still have like a whole dinner left over tonight. So I also made a caprese salad with my own fresh garden basil. It's really good. So I'm going to enjoy that again. Last night I watched the movie Persuasion. It's a Jane Austen novel that was adapted by Netflix. I think Netflix made it. But it was really, really good. It was too relatable. And then sometimes I'm like, was I Jane Austen in a past life? Because like all of her novels are like word for word my whole life. It's like never fails. Like I am Elizabeth Bennet from Pride and Prejudice. And now I think that I am this protagonist as well. All right, you guys, I am going to enjoy the rest of the evening. I hope you do the same. Ciao.